the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment. The number 3 one here is going to be about spring training standings. Just some takeaways I have from it going, in around a week or so of it going on. And, I'm looking forward to see what happens. And just talking about this right now. So first, at the top of the Grapefruit League, we have the Baltimore Orioles. Not a surprise whatsoever. The Orioles have, I think spring training is more about playing your younger guys, your depth guys who, are going to be a big part of your team but may not make the roster right away. And the Orioles have such a good farm system that this makes sense that they're at the top of, it all. Jackson Holliday leading that prospect group. They have so many other guys as well. You have Corbin Burns, who's pitched a good amount as well in spring training. It makes a lot of sense that the Orioles are at the top of the Grapefruit League. They are 7-1 currently. Next, we have the Nationals, who are 4-2. Kind of the same thing as the Orioles, really. So many good young players that it makes sense they're second here. James Wood, Robert Hassel, Mackenzie Gore, C.J. Abrams, all those younger guys that are going to be big parts of the team. Even C.J. Abrams is really a big part of the team already, but he's still a younger player. It makes sense here. The Yankees are third with a 3-2 record. Soto's played a lot because he wants to get acclimated to being a Yankee, being part of this new team, new organization. So it's made sense that they're third. Had Spencer Jones perform really well. Overall, a good team. So not a surprise the Yankees are third here. Next, you have the Red Sox, 4-3. They've had some nice performances from their younger players. So not too big of a surprise that they are in this position here. Good for the Red Sox. Finally winning something, I guess. Tigers, 4-3. Also another younger team that's had good performances. Younger prospects like Parker Meadows, the recently extended Colt Keith, Tarek Skubal, who was today named as the opening day starter for the Tigers. Matt Manning, guys like that. So, I think the Tigers are going to be a team to watch this year and see how they do with their younger players. You have the Mets at 4-3 then. They've had some interesting performances. You've had breakout guys like Trace Thompson, G-Man Choi's played pretty well. Severino had his first start today, which we'll talk about later in the show. Your younger guys have performed good. You have your younger core of hitters like Drew Gilbert, Luis Angel Acuna. I'm forgetting one more. Jet Williams, sorry, that was the guy I was thinking of. Who are definitely performing. So it makes sense the Mets are here. Makes sense they're having a good spring. Philly, they are 2-3 so far. 3-3. Read that wrong. Good spring for them so far. Guys are performing. Nolas pitched well. They threw a no-hitter. They almost threw a no-hitter, against the Yankees split squad team. They haven't had many additions this offseason, but I think they're looking forward to getting some more. Maybe potentially a guy like Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell. So, I definitely think those could be guys to watch and see if they sign with the Phillies. St. Louis next. They had one game, yes. They won today versus the Mets, actually, so good for them. They are also 3-3. They had Kyle Gibson's first Cardinals start yesterday. Did not go very well. But, you're just looking to see what your younger guys can do right now. Guys like Rosefo, guys like Wynn, Walker, Liberatore, who pitched today. So, I'm interested to see what happens with the Cardinals and the younger players and their interesting pitching staff, to say the least here. Next, you have the Braves, who are 3-4. They've had some of their signings work out pretty well so far in spring training. You've had Ken Giles, who's performed pretty well. Chris Sale's performed very well in his one appearance. So, just looking forward to things like that. We also have some news about Acuna today, so we're going to talk about that as well in our next segment. So, not gonna spoil that yet, but I'm sure if you follow baseball in spring training, you know what's going on with Acuna. Not a big deal, but again, we'll talk about our next segment. Houston. Also, how do they make these Grapefruit League standings? This is really weird. It's teams in Florida and Arizona. I don't know why I had a brain fart there. Sorry, that was my bad. I don't know why I said that. Anyways, that was bad. Astros 3-4. nothing much to say here. They've had some nice performances from their players. Altuve's been, as he said, been trying to make the team, so we'll see if Altuve can make the team after getting a huge extension. Obviously a joke, but, nice to see there's still competitive juices flowing. And we talked about them before. They need to get over that hump, make it back to the World Series. And I think new manager Joe Espada is going to be a big part of that, so I'm looking forward to it. Miami is 2-3. I don't believe new addition Tim Anderson has played yet. We want to watch him, but other than that, their young pitchers have been performing pretty well. Ryan Weathers today played pretty well, was hitting good numbers on the velocity gun. Yuri Perez performed very well. The other young guys as well. So, just looking for what the Marlins young guys can do and what's going to happen with that and how they can perform this season and how they can affect them. Tampa, they are 2-3. An interesting offseason for Tampa. Obviously, you're going to have a new starter at shortstop. We've talked about Wander Franco enough. Let's just talk about the Rays in general. They've had a lot of turnover, of course, with Franco, with Glass now leaving. That rotation's kind of going to be headlined by Zach Eflin, Aaron Savale, the other younger guys like Taj Bradley, Ryan Pepio. So interesting to see what happens with the Rays here. Minnesota. Again, we talked about them enough. Looking to see what happens with Buxton and Correa over the spring as they start to play, and how can they perform? Will they come back from injury fairly well? It's now or never for them, I think, and they have to prove those contracts. So, I think that's something to watch. Toronto, they're second to last, which is strange, but you had Alec. I think the big one so far about them is Alek Manoah. Everyone was kind of expecting this to be his bounce back year, and he had his first start with the Blue Jays in spring training, and it did not go well at all. So I think it's kind of now or never for Manoah and what's going to happen with his career. So definitely need him to perform for the Blue Jays, and need him to be the Alek Manoah of the past. And if not, I think he'll be gone. Pittsburgh is last at 1-5, which is something I was not expecting. They have a lot of good young players, of course, after not being very good for so long. That's what's going to happen. Your young players are going to come up. They're going to start to perform. So, interesting that they are last. But I think they'll improve. I don't think this is a big deal. It is spring training at the end of the day, so they'll improve. It's fine. We're going to the Cactus League now, which is the teams who play in Arizona. You have Texas, who is 5-1. Makes sense that the defending world champions are at the top. Nothing else much to say there. They're really good, and I'm looking forward to see their title defense. We talked about them last episode, so a few episodes ago actually. So if you want to see that, go check out the clip. Next, we have the Reds, who also makes sense being here at number 2. They've had they have a very good young team. And I'm sure a lot of the guys are performing and playing well for them. It makes sense that they are second here, and looking forward to the Red season. If you guys listen to the podcast at all, I'm very high on the Reds, and I like what they've done. So I'm looking forward to it, to their season. The Dodgers, 5-2, not surprising. Ohtani and Yamamoto have only played in one game, so it makes sense that they're only 5-2. Sorry, only 5-2. I know that's a little low for their standards because of the Dodgers, but that's still pretty great. The younger players have been performing. Yamamoto played very well. Ohtani homer in his first Dodgers game because, of course, he did. He's Shohei Ohtani. Of course, the Dodgers aren't putting much stock into spring training and just what's going to happen there. So, yeah. Colorado's next. They've had a surprisingly nice spring. Their young players are starting to perform a little bit. The core is starting to come together. They had some interesting comments about Chris Bryant over yesterday, and how he kind of just signed with them to sign with the team. It was kind of interesting. You guys should check it out. Actually, the comments that Chris Bryant did make about the Rockies. We might talk about it next segment. I'm not sure yet. That was interesting to say the least. Kansas City is next, 5-3. Their new additions have been performing well. They're a younger team, of course, so I think the younger players are going to be playing in spring training a good amount. So I'm not surprised that they are at the top here. and playing well. Arizona is 4-3 of the defending NL champions. Their new additions have been playing well as well. The whole team's trying to come together, kind of get the chemistry back of last year when they made that magical run to the World Series. So, good start for them just for the spring, and hopefully they keep it going. As a guy who likes the Diamondbacks offseason a lot, as you guys know, hopefully they don't let me down. San Diego is next, 4-4. They're younger. Their pitching addition, specifically Johnny Brito, who's pitched a good amount of innings so far, have not been performing the greatest. But at the same time, you have to take it with a grain of salt. They're coming over to a new organization. They got to get everything set. So, I'm not putting too much stock into it right now. And, definitely looking forward to see what happens with them. Cubs are 3-3. They'll get better, I think, once Bellinger starts to play, once the other guys start to play as well. Pico Armstrong has played a little bit. You're also your new manager, Craig Counsell, is getting used to everything there. So it's fine. 3-3, it's whatever. The Angels are 3-3. We didn't expect them to be that good this spring training. Of course, you're letting so many players walk. They also had some injury news, which we'll definitely talk about next segment, so that could be hurting them. Not surprising about the Angels. We know this about them. Oakland next. They are 3-3. Sorry, the A's are not very good. This is not any crazy news here. They're not very good. I'm not as surprised that they're 3-3 in spring training. Kind of higher than I expected. They're playing KC next, so we'll see what happens there. Chicago White Sox, not Cubs. They are 3-5 currently. Playing the Cubs next. Battle of Chicago again. Again, not surprising. They're not a very good team. Nothing much else to say there. Cleveland 2-4. Carlos Carrasco has made some starts for them, which is interesting. I guess he's trying to make their roster, which is a fun storyline. I like it. So, but other than that, they haven't performed very well. Nothing much to else say here. Seattle 1-4, very underwhelming. Milwaukee 1-5, also very underwhelming. Again, the players haven't performed yet. But again, I want to make it clear that I'm taking all this with a grain of salt. It is spring training. No one should be overreacting unless it's individual star players not performing well for a very specific reason. Or they're underlying metrics do not say they're performing well. But again, it is spring training. But I did want to go over it, just talk about it. And last in the Cactus League is the only team to have not won a spring training game this entire spring, and that is the Giants. So hopefully they can get off their feet. They've been hit with some injured pitching, of course. So I'll take it with a grain of salt, and I'll hope they can get better. So that's our third segment. We're going to move to our last segment here, which is going to be about news around the league, stuff that's going on. So we'll talk about that next. Well, first we'll go to a break, and we'll see you after that. So thanks.